What does it really take to leave everything behind and start creating? Today, we're diving into an honest conversation about the journey from career burnout to YouTube creator. This isn't just another success story, it's a raw look at the fears, the reality checks, and the hidden work that goes into turning a creative vision into reality. You'll hear about sculpting metaphors, the complexity behind simple content, and what it means to become a public person in the digital age.
Yeah, so thank you, Ayumi, for taking time. Just wanted to, I guess, ask you I know you started doing a YouTube channel recently and uh, kind of almost doing this full time. What spurred you to do this and what got you started?
Mm, well, I've always consumed YouTube since whenever it launched, like 2006 or something. Um, and yeah, I think that's my main platform to consume content. So I don't really watch Netflix or HBO, whatever, just a lot of YouTube. So that in connection to, I've wanted to get into producing videos and learning what that workflow looks like. I have a background in.
That curiosity about motivation runs deeper than most people realize. The decision to start creating isn't usually a lightning bolt moment. It's often born from something much more personal.
Yeah, I think when I really felt burnt out at my last job and I was struggling with it for a good year or so, I was going back and forth with this feeling of, well, this all feels like a dead end to me, but I've kind of put aside these dreams and creative pursuits on the side as something that maybe I'll get to one day when I have more time. And ultimately, it just dawned on me that, okay, actually, this is something that I should invest in and look into while while I'm young, right? Or younger, and really make full use of it. So just naturally, I think YouTube happened to be the platform that touched on a lot of these things that that I'm interested in, that would teach me a lot about content creation and will give me the platform to practice my craft at making videos. So
There's something profound about recognizing when you've reached that breaking point. It takes real courage to admit that what you're doing isn't working anymore, and even more courage to do something about it.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. It's almost like there's this Japanese, I guess, concept of Ikigai where you're like trying to find your purpose, trying to make money, but you need to like do all of it together to like actually, you can't, I think most people live a very disconnected life where there is this idea that I want to work on this, but their day job is like this, like very extreme, and they're trying to kind of eventually merge it till it's too late. And you're like, why not just bite the bullet and like start today? Like, what's stopping me, right? Like, just kind of asking this question, what's stopping me, and just doing it. That's pretty kind of, I guess, courageous.
The concept of Ikigai, that sweet spot where what you love meets what you're good at, sounds beautiful in theory. But what does it actually look like when you try to build it from scratch?
yeah, well, day one was, I was excited. I still, again, like I worked for a publication, a newspaper, so it was this weekly deadline pace. So I kind of ran out of that rhythm and ran into this new chapter of my life. So I still carried with me the sense of, okay, on this day, I'm going to finish up the script. On this day, I'm going to start editing and I'm going to start getting video, and I'm going to get B-roll. And it felt very scheduled. So it was exciting, but I feel like I kept fluctuating between the bigger vision and the practical. So anything from what's the tone with which I speak? And do I show my face? Do I not? Um, what kind of colors do I want to use? Like all these kind of bigger things, down to like, okay, so how do I set the camera up in my room? Like, what does my background look like? And it was this kind of back and forth. I don't know if I had to use an analogy, it felt like sculpting something where I had an idea of what I wanted to go for, but then, you along the way you realize, oh, I don't have this tool to do this, but I can do it in this way and, back and forth. So,
Ooh, that sculpting metaphor is perfect, isn't it? You start with this massive block of possibility, and suddenly you're holding a chisel, realizing you have no idea where to make the first cut. But there's wisdom in that overwhelming feeling.
but the one thing I did know for sure was what the content was about, which is essentially bridging the gap between Japanese and American culture, and specifically in the realm of design and branding. And I felt like it played on my upbringing, it played on my skill set, and that's something I wanted to, in a way, like this is so, I don't know, scheming, but I wanted to avoid the whole interview and applying to jobs process. I didn't want to make a portfolio just for the sake of it. And I felt YouTube was the way that I can just bypass all of that, just go right to I'm making content and it's my portfolio too. So
Yeah.
I knew the vision. And so that was long-winded, but I knew the vision. And definitely, yeah, excited. It was kind of trying to figure it out. Yeah.
There's something brilliant about that approach, using YouTube not just as a platform, but as a living portfolio. It's strategic thinking disguised as creative expression.
That's pretty fascinating. I think I kind of relate to multiple analogies that you shared, right? One is like this idea of sculpting, of like, I kind of know what I want, but I don't know how it will look or how it will feel. And sometimes you're too much into the process for you to even take a step back and be like, how does this look and how does it feel? And you kind of have to put it out there to like get that like feeling. And I think the other thing that you shared, right? Like as you are starting to do things which are more like this vision that you have, right, of bridging something, but the practical application of how does it convert to something real, and then all the skills required to make it a reality, right? So it's almost like vision, what is the real thing I want to create, but making that a reality. So there is like you're almost crossing so many disciplines of thinking, right, or and doing.
That complexity is something most people never see. We watch a simple cooking video and think it looks easy. But what's really happening behind the scenes?
Like especially for me, right? Like I watch this YouTube channel called Future Canoe. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Mm.
He hides his face and he does these like cooking videos which are like hilarious because he's just like, oh, I don't have this. Like he'll play the recipe from another creator and he'll be like, oh, if it says coriander, I don't have coriander. I'm just going to he'll say extra parsley, extra parsley. When they keep saying the different ingredient, he'll just keep putting the same in.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Because he has like part of it is who he is. But then there is a lot of hidden work, which, like, as the consumer, you don't see. You realize, oh, he's using a white background on his. Unless you know anything about video editing, you don't realize that, oh, that white background is probably like he might love to use another color, but that white background is very intentional because ingredients and all these things look very clear, precise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a creative. Like there is thought into that. It's not thoughtless, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it and you can. But an average person watching the YouTube channel is like, oh, this is such cool content, right? Like,
And then there's the part nobody talks about. The moment you realize that putting yourself out there means becoming a public person. That's a whole different kind of scary.
I never really thought of myself being a public person. I never thought of uploading, video where I'm filming myself and talking about this content, right? And like for context, right? I don't post anything on Instagram or social media. And I like not I like to, but I just kind of don't care for being public. Um, yeah, so that was definitely a fear. Fear of like, am I gonna get weird comments? Am I gonna get people that are like, oh, this is so stupid?
That fear of becoming public, it's so real and so rarely discussed. But maybe that's exactly why conversations like this matter. Behind every YouTube channel, every creative pursuit, every career change, there's a human being wrestling with doubt, figuring it out as they go, and finding the courage to keep chiseling away at that block of possibility. Sometimes the most profound journeys begin not with confidence, but with the simple decision to start anyway. Thanks for listening to this honest look at what it really takes to turn creative vision into reality.